Hello, everyone. My name is Clara West. We are here today to complete a training on how to complete a culturally responsive assessment and questionnaire. As for an introduction, in the field of ABA, it's crucial to practice cultural responsiveness so that clients receive the most ethical and effective interventions that are tailored to their varied needs. When working with diverse populations, understanding differences in cultures, beliefs, and communication differences ensures that the intervention that will be implemented respects the client, caregiver, and/or family. We also wish to be responsive in a way that builds strong ethical relationships and reduces any and all barriers that may affect treatment delivery. Um, I'm going to back up just a little bit at this point. Hopefully, you have all received a clean copy of the questionnaire that we're going to go through today, as well as a list of commonly asked questions that you can reference later on while you're working through the questionnaire. As we go through, I want you to have fun with it. Try to, make up a client, come up with some answers for some of these questions, and at the end, we'll kind of do a Q&A and go over some of the answers you come up with. All right, for starters, the culturally responsive assessment and intervention questionnaire. Of course, you're going to start with, a client's name. You can go ahead and kind of, come up with a name if you want, an age, a gender. You want to look into their primary language and their preference because some of ours may, speak multiple languages, but speak one better than the other. And determine whether you may need an interpreter if you are not, well versed in the language. Um, You will determine how this language barrier can affect the assessment and intervention, and communication preferences. They, verbal, nonverbal, eye contact, anything like that. After that, we will move on to the second part of the assessment and questionnaire, which is familial factors. This is where you're going to write down, household members, anyone that supports the client or supports the family. This may include aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, anything like that. Kind of put down some roles that the family gives you. Kind of who does the caregiving, the men, the women, anybody, both. Same with discipline, that sometimes in some cultures is more for a male to complete. And who does the decision making? Is it a collective effort or is it individual? The next one is concerning factors. Concerning factors such as learning challenges, kind of note when the family first noticed the concerns, if there's ever been an attempt to assess the concerns, and the goals that they hope to achieve during this process. The next box is the cultural factors. This includes religious or cultural beliefs, traditions that may shape behaviors that they're seeing, cultural stigmas, events that may influence scheduling or participation. This could include prayer ceremonies, religious teachings, attending church on a Sunday morning, Sunday night, or Wednesday night, anything like that. The next ones are socioeconomic factors, which is the barriers to assessing service, level of access to school and other supports, and external stress related to the family. Following that will be barriers. We're going to kind of assess how those factors, you know, how we may need to use those to assess the process, on how we can fit our intervention to the client and their needs, what strategies we may need to use, and how can we build rapport if there's barriers or other factors that, may cause, an issue with scheduling therapy. Next, you're going to have assessment information. We're going to kind of, determine what information you need, determine what assessment tool may be best for the family. Adapt anything. We can rephrase language. We can use cultural examples of, if you've worked with someone in the past with a similar cultural or background, you can, kind of give an example of how you have worked through meeting those needs. Assess the setting. Where is the therapy going to take place? Is everyone, is it culturally appropriate? Is it a good place to be for the therapy? Is the family going to be included in this process? And in what ways? How are we going to make sure that that family feels comfortable being included in this? Next is the culturally responsive intervention strategy development. How are we going to, get these intervention strategies for the client, and how are we going to include the family in that? How are we going to, work with our staff on, making sure that they're ready to work with someone from a different culture and background? Um, we're kind of going to go over, the cultural norms and values that may influence strategies and make sure that our staff are comfortable with those as well. We definitely always, always, always want feedback. If the intervention's not fitting into the family schedule, if the intervention is, not appropriate or has become something that is more harmful than good, we definitely want feedback on that, and we want to use that to help us guide this intervention. Um, any type of adaptation can be, worked along. We can provide reinforcement for anything like that. And again, progress review, request more feedback. Always, get a family input, get the client input, anything like that. The last section will be the section over diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to address barriers, address accessing the barriers, see if we can be flexible in scheduling. We may have to do some telehealth with a family for a while. We may have to get an interpreter and, link them into those meetings. And then we'll address cultural barriers, community outreach programs, anything like that that we can get some good rapport built with this family that we have. Um, anything that can, help them along, help them understand that we are here for them. Um, I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of complete that here at the end, but I'm going to do our conclusion, and then we'll kind of go into a Q&A if you guys have any questions. If we want to, try to fill this out, go over it, anything like that. So for the presentation conclusion, it is utmost important that that our clients and families feel heard and understood. We can break down these barriers by practicing cultural responsiveness both inside and outside the workplace until it becomes second nature. I hope this training has helped everyone understand how to approach these topics and how to record and fill out the questionnaire so we can all implement culturally responsive practices in our workplace. At this time, I will just let you guys, finish that up. I'm going to quit screen sharing and we'll go from there. Any questions, just, kind of hang out on the meeting and I'll be around to you. Thank you.